Welcome, Triton.
Cool, thank you. Great to be here.
Hi. Thanks for
Wonderful
joining
to
us.
see you. Um, we did talk a lot about pets in the previous one, but I think one of the things that really stuck out to me was how we're like improving this community feel by using pets. And you are also focusing on community or exploring that world of community through yoga. So how does yoga practice foster community?
Yeah, like community is a really big kind of pillar of what we do. I think there's probably a few ways you could answer this idea. Probably in the simplest way, the primary way really is, getting people together and having shared experience, I think is such an important thing. You can be, as we all know, you can be in a room full of people and not feel connected to people. But it's when we start to share, whether it's through learning something together or whether it's planting trees together or whether it's, working at the cafe together, like the shared experience and the shared kind of somewhat trials and tribulations, which they would look personal on a map, but we're all kind of going through that. I think there's a kind of a bonding experience that happens when you're not just with people, but with people, working at a sort of a similar idea or a similar event. So that's probably the start way. And then I think in terms of community, like, I ask myself this quite a lot in terms of what constitutes healthy communities, how do we create healthy communities? And I think a huge part of that is kind of the individual taking responsibility and having skill sets for their own individual health, because, we all go through phases of being kind of behind a veil of kind of our own fog and our own kind of, depression and anxiety and all those things that kind of go on as the natural human experience. But I think, a modern day practice like yoga or meditation or mindfulness or, the things that help develop these, I guess, intrapersonal skills, I think they really help to make us maybe more pliable or more open to connection or little love 2.0 moments or, just be available to the experience of, other people. So I think, there's probably, and there's probably layers that sit even beyond that, but there's a lot to it for sure. And communities, it's a huge thing. I think it's something that we're all craving.
Yeah, and along those lines of community, how do you think yoga strengthens existing ties that people have with friends and family?
Yeah, like I was listening to Jeanette, I was like, there's interesting things around kind of shared kind of purpose and the like. And I think in the yoga kind of, I guess the history of yoga and the narratives and the stories that come out, there's some beautiful kind of fables and stories that we can kind of leverage. But like, I think probably, I'm trying to remember the person who it was, there's this idea of a moral circle, and that in this practice, we learn to develop our moral circle beyond our own kind of, our backyard and our pets and our, family people and our favorite people, and start to create a sense of connection and expansion that can extend to not just, our pets, but maybe the animals that we eat. And then how does that change the relationship to, okay, I've got an animal that I love and an animal that I eat, and how do I bridge the gap? Maybe I can encompass all of that. So it does change the relationship to maybe, how you walk on the earth, how much you eat, how much you consume, how you relate to the people that aren't in your immediate moral circle but are slightly expanded. And I think there's a lot of kind of benefit from that. And I think then if we're talking about relationships between people who are kind of known people, you and your partner or family and the like, I think, a relationship between people, there's three dialogues going on. There's the dialogue with like me with myself, there's the dialogue with you and yourself, and then there's a dialogue that's occurring between us. And I probably need to know how I'm relating to myself first before I can really enter into some sort of clear space of that central dialogue, before I can even begin to understand what the dialogue is that you're experiencing. So there's a bit to that, I think. And I think, just being able to, in the basic level of see ourselves and witness ourselves and understand, maybe not understand, maybe that's too grand a claim, but to at least be able to witness ourselves. I think there's something in that. And through the physicality of, knowing how you're holding your body, seeing how you move, seeing how you breathe, there's just this part of us that moves out of being in the doing of it and into the observing of it. And I think within that, it helps to then circumvent sometimes the quick reactivity that we might have with our friends or our partners or our family, and just be able to kind of hold the experience and breathe our way through the experience without necessarily reacting and sometimes putting our foot in it and all those kind of things that we often do with close loved ones, even despite the best yoga practice. It's a thing. So yeah, I think, I don't know, did that answer a question? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I think that looking at how we see ourselves and observing ourselves does help a lot with our relationships with others. So we're going to now be observing you for a little bit though, and we will leave you now to take us through some yoga techniques.
Yeah, great. Well, are you guys going to join in as well? I hope so.
We will be, but from behind our screen.
I'll turn my camera off first.
Oh, good. Great. Well, for those that are joining, awesome to have you here. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to take about sort of 20 minutes thereabouts to move through some really simple poses. One of the key things that comes when people say, I'm not flexible enough to do yoga, it's kind of like saying I'm too dirty to have a shower. It's like, just start where you are and, like work your way through stuff. We're going to obviously be taking it pretty slow and simple, but there's just an opportunity to experience your body moving and all the health benefits that come with that. And alongside that, we'll be talking about some breathing and the like. So the first position, if we borrow from Jeanette's talk, we're going to come into our hands and knees and we'll do poses called cat and cow. So if you're joining, you really don't need a mat or anything like that. A piece of floor, maybe a carpeted piece of floor might feel lovely, but if you've got a mat, go for it. Cat and cow, here all we're doing is simply opening the chest as we breathe in. We call this spinal extension in kind of physio world. And then when you breathe out, you want to round over the spine and send the gaze towards the belly button. It's a beautiful stretch for the back body. You just try this a few times. As you breathe in, you open the chest. We want to move slow and steady through this. As you exhale, just rounding on out. So there's a tendency to be kind of quick and jagged with our movements. Here we get to slow ourselves down. Try that 2 more times for yourself. Inhale, opening. And exhale, rounding. And notice already there's part of you that's doing the pose and there's part of you that's observing you doing the pose. Beautiful. And then you can just come back into sort of hands and knees like a square tabletop type position, and we'll take a little bit of a twist. So with your right arm, you can simply reach it up to the sky, maybe follow the thumb tip up, and then you're going to sweep it back through and dive underneath your left arm and tap your right shoulder towards the floor. Maybe it touches, maybe not. We'll take that 2 more times. So inhale, open. There's lots of different types of yoga. This vinyasa practice, we breathe and move at the same time. Exhale, underneath, twist. Go again. Inhale, open up. So you try and find the top of the pose at the top of the breath. As you exhale, twist underneath. Same deal here. Yeah, come up to the sky. Big breath in. And just hand down to the floor. Watch the 5 fingers spread out on that right hand, and then follow the left thumb up towards the sky as you breathe in. We're twisting open. And then twist underneath yourself. Slide the fingertips away. Cool. 2 more times. Breathe in. Yeah, and twist underneath. Okay, go 1 more time. Up, open chest. And finish that through. Yeah, into the sky. Big breath in. And then this time, notice the 5 left fingers here spreading out onto the floor. And so ideally, when you've got your hands on the floor, you can see a little bit of color between every finger. Yeah? So there's a little bit of space between the hands. And notice you're both observing how you're placing yourself and placing yourself. So there's an experience and then there's the witness of the experience. Interesting stuff, I find. Tuck the toes under. We're going to take downward facing dog. Plenty of animal names in the yoga dictionary. Expressions of different, animals that were around. In this one, we're trying to stick our butt up in the sky and push the arms nice and long. So it's kind of like a triangle shape, I guess. I'm trying to make a nice pointy butt. So it's lifting up to the sky. And the knees can be as bent as you need so that you've got plenty of space, even if there is a little bit of stretching sensation through the hamstrings. Beautiful. And then, tippy toe your way up towards the top of the mat.
Once you get there, we take a forward fold here. So that's just bowing. And again, I'm going to suggest you bend your knees heaps, yeah? Doesn't matter if your hands don't hit the ground or the like. Just notice what you notice here. Where's the dominant sensation? Maybe it's the backs of the legs. Maybe it's the tension that you're still holding through the neck and you can let that go. But learning to observe ourselves, it's a phenomenal skill. You're going to take what we call a halfway lift. So you can put your hands on your thighs and just flatten out the body. So you're kind of horizontal with the spine. And then forward fold, simply bow back down and try and release a little bit of that neck tension you were holding. Let's do it again. So halfway lift, you breathe in, nice long spine. And then forward fold again, just bowing, draping the spine. Take it one more time, halfway lift. Nice little wake up through the back body. Sometimes we need it. Yeah, and then forward fold, empty. And this time we're going to roll up towards standing. We'll take a couple of breaths to get ourselves there. There's no rush at all. Spend so much of our time rushing through the day, so here's a chance just to enjoy it. Take the arms up to the sky, stretch yourself out like a bit of a morning stretch. Good. And then just relax the hands down by your side. And just notice how you're standing. Have you got equal weight, one foot to the other? Is there a big curve in the lower back or a little curve? Is the upper back slumped or is it open? Is the chin forwards or is it in? Now, what you find is, in some ways, kind of doesn't really matter. It's the ability to see yourself. The ability to witness this vehicle that you're in. Yeah, what we're going to do is just simply take some big arm circles. So sweep the arms up, peel the chest open, and then just continue the loop. Obviously, the physicality is the easiest thing to observe, to witness. You can see when your arms are a bit limp or when they're awake. You can see when your spine is rounding, slumped, or whether it's upright. Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's almost binary. It's like, yep, I can see it. Or no, I can't see it. Take some circles in the opposite direction. And here, beautiful gliding, sliding. The body is made to move with 15 years of physio experience and 30 years of acrobatic experience. So it's like the more and more you stay still, stuck, to a screen or the like, whatever it is that we end up on, and the body just claps out. So here, get moving. Any which way feels good. What we're going to do here is now try and take arms in opposite directions. So one arm goes forwards and one arm goes backwards. And some people will go straight to this and you've done it before. So your body knows, it remembers. But other people are like, what the hell? Suddenly you find yourself doing backstroke or freestyle or something like that. See if you can make one arm go in one direction and the other arm go in the other direction. So one's going forwards, one's going back. Good, then try the other direction. So opposite directions. And sometimes it's interesting. You've had this body for several years now and you still don't quite know how to make one arm do one thing and the other arm do the other thing, which is totally cool. The body's made to learn, so you just keep trying on it. Maybe not today, but sometime soon. Cool. Both arms to the sky. Take a big breath in. And forward fold, you bow on out. Beautiful. Take a halfway lift, so that's that flat back position we had just before. And step your right foot back to the back end of your mat or your bit of carpet that you're working on and sweep the arms on up. Here we're going to interlace the thumbs and take a beautiful little side stretch out to the left. So you're kind of arcing your body. If I kind of do this, I'm not mirroring you, but you're turning to your left, looking in the other direction here. Yeah. And what do you notice? What's the sensation? For me, I often feel a bit of tension through the front of the right hip. It's like, oh yeah, that's my spot. You might feel the side of the body. You might feel the armpit area. You might feel the coolness of the air on your skin. Like there's a myriad of things that you could be aware to. Go. Bring the arms back up straight overhead and then downward facing dog. Plant the hands and step on back. From here, we'll step back up to the top of the mat. You can take one or several steps to get there. Halfway lift as you breathe in. And forward fold, exhale. Let's see if we can find a little bit of rhythm here.
So stand up tall, sweep the arms to the sky. You can open the chest if it feels nice. And then forward fold, exhale. Take a halfway lift. Will that rhythm lift you? And then the left foot steps back. Drop the knee down, sweep the arms up to the sky as you breathe in, interlace the thumbs, and take a little side bend over to the right. And so there's the doing, and then there's the observing of the doing. What are the dominant sensations? As we do this practice, we're going to be starting to move from that physicality, the easy kind of visual things, to like, oh, what am I feeling? What am I thinking about this? Don't have to get there yet, but just to open the door to where we're heading. Take the arms back up to the sky. Hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Step it on back. Okay. This time rise up onto tippy toes. Bend off the knees and step or jump this time to the top of the mat. You try and land as quietly as you can, and then halfway lift, we breathe in. We're going to take this through one more time on each side. Forward fold, we bow. So stand on up. If you squeeze your butt muscles and your belly muscles, it gives you a bit of strength. And then forward fold, exhale. We'll keep moving this with breath. You got your halfway lift with inhale. The right foot steps back, drop the knee down. Good, sweep the arms to the sky, just one breath in. And then hands to the floor, step back, downward facing dog, spread fingers. Yeah, tippy toes as you breathe in. Bend the knees, again, a chance to step or float to the top of the mat. Yep, and halfway lift as you breathe in. And forward fold, exhale. Good, stand up tall, one big breath here. And fold and empty. Good, halfway lift, inhale. And then that left foot stepping back. Try and find the rhythm, settle into the rhythm. Arms sweep to the sky, inhale. And then downward facing dog, step on back. And take your right leg up to the sky. We call this 3-leg dog. And then you're going to do a tiger curl. There's so many animals in this when I think about it. Try that again. So leg to the sky, 3-leg dog. And then tiger curl, thigh to chest. You're rounding over the spine. Try it one more time, lift it up and away. And then curl, sweep it through. And this time we'll step and we'll come up to a position we call crescent lunge. No animals here, but a nice strong shape nonetheless. In this position, it's a classic kind of sporting athletic lunge style position. Try and tighten the belly. So actually take the crescent out of the lunge. And we're quite strong through the center. Again, you get a stretching sensation through the hips, which is lovely. A little bit of strengthening through the right butt. What we're going to do is take this into balance. So you're going to shift the weight forward and you're going to come up into stork pose. So the left knee comes to the chest and you rise on up. And then from here, eagle pose. Man, the animals. Eagle pose is the left ankle going up over the thigh and then sitting down a little bit. So it's like you're sitting in a small chair behind you or trying to find it. You know, like those kiddie plastic chairs that you're like, oh, where is it? It's got to be there somewhere. So you want to sit down deep. And then hands can be at heart here. And obviously there's a bit of sort of stress going on around the right thigh, yeah? The muscle strengthening, waking up. So you're noticing not just the shape you've created, not just the sensations you're feeling, but maybe start to notice the undertow of emotions or the thought processes. We'll come back up. We call it stork pose, knee to chest. And then foot to floor, hands to heart. Arms to the sky, inhale. Yeah, and bow. Yeah, you got halfway lift. And downward facing dog. Wide fingers, send the weight back. We'll take it to the left side now. So left leg to the sky, 3-leg dog. Tiger curl, knee to chest. Feel some strength. Let's see if you can set your attitude for strength. We go again. Inhale up. Yeah, and tiger curl, push the floor away. Belly getting stronger every moment you try this. Go again. Inhale up. Tiger curl, knee to chest. And step. Crescent lunge, sweep on up. And we just stay here for a little while. As much as we're taking physical stances and physical postures, there's a mental posture and a mental stance that might be enhancing or at odds with what's going on. If you're thinking like, hey, I'm getting some strength on today, sweet, this is my little workout, great, a little bit of sweat, perfect. Or if you're thinking like, man, this is a bit too much, I'm a bit confused, don't really feel up for it, like notice how those different wordings will influence the scenario. Right knee to chest, stork pose. Choose something positive. A little like, yes, I can. This is good for me. Try again. They're all great little messages of self-talk. It's how we're relating to ourselves. Eagle pose is where we're going, hands to heart. The ankle's crossed over the thigh here, and we're sitting down low, trying to find that little kiddie's chair somewhere behind you. A little bit of effort for balance here. Gaze wants to be nice and steady. And here, see if you can find a couple more rounds of rhythmic breath, steady breath. So even though the external environment's a little bit tough, the internal environment's managed. Good. Stork pose, knee to chest, big breath in. And foot to floor, release. Lovely. Cool, we've got time for probably one or two more poses. I'm going to take this one for you, a wide-legged position. So I'm going to turn a bit sideways so you don't get my rump in the camera. But here, you don't want to be like into splits, not like Van Damme style here. Just kind of keep it like relatively moderate. And then hands on hips, draw in the belly, squeeze on the butt, good strong muscles for you. And then you're going to fold on down. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, you're super welcome to, or you can just put hands straight to floor if you've got that kind of range. If this feels pretty good and you want to go a little further, then you can even walk the hands through. So now you're really folding down, and it's a great stretch for the backs of the thighs and also a real decompression of the spine. Here, take 5 more breaths and just notice what you notice. Starting from the shape that your body is making, to the sensations that you're feeling, to the mood that seems to shroud that. And then maybe to the words that you're using for yourself. Is it encouraging or is it negating? How we relate to ourselves, such an important part of how we're going to relate to the people around us. Last breath here. Beautiful. And place the hands down. Walk your feet a little closer together and bring yourself down onto your bottom. Last pose, we'll take what we call Baddha Konasana, bound pose here. Soles of the feet together. It's like the first pose you would have learnt as a preschooler. Feet together, sit up a little tall for a moment, and then start to fold on down. And you just got 5 breaths here, and this is where we'll close the practice. So a chance to, again, drop in and just scan the physical shape, and then if you can, the layers that go inwards from there. At some point through the practice, and it might take a little while, but we eventually get to a point where we're not bound up, not physically, not emotionally, not with the words, that we see a little freer. At points you might notice that it's just like, oh, it's just the breath. That's all I notice now. And for a while, the world goes calm. And slowly ease yourself up. Cool. And that'll conclude our little mini yoga practice. Namaste. Thanks for joining. Great to be with you guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Triton. That is a lovely way to round out a Wednesday. And I don't think I'd noticed before how many animal poses there are.
Yeah, just as I was sort of doing it, I was like, yep, that's an animal too. And here's another one. Yeah, there's a lot.
So many. That was brilliant. Thank you so much for the time today.
Most welcome. Thanks for having us on.
Really appreciate it.